as well actually document this and show you guys the kind of hassle fiasco that I had to go through to actually get it rectified, because currently, thankfully, it is all done and well. But the thing is, I did spend a little bit more money than I should have to actually get that rectified. But let me take you back a couple of weeks ago when that problem has actually occurred. Winter time has arrived and the car developed a fault with the notorious water pump thermostat coolant related problem. I didn't know it was such a big deal until I was actually really diving into it. You know when you Google a car and you get the common issues. Oh, it's got this issues and it's got that issues. I've done it with every car, including this one. I knew that the water pump and the thermostat was an issue, but I didn't know it was an issue on all of the EA888 engines across the whole board. So my car is a EA888 engine Gen 3. It is in the disguise of a 2-litre TFSI or TSI in Skoda's term, turbocharged engine that creates in this application 230 brake horsepower and 300 and something foot-pound of torque. Obviously the EA888 engines are very versatile. They range from 1.8 all the way up to the full fat 330 something brake horsepower in the topper end, Golf R's, etc. The problem in this car is the fact of diagnosing what the problem is, because it's all well and good it's a water pump that's the problem and the thermostat, mainly the thermostat that's the problem, but the symptoms that my car gave didn't give me the same kind of conclusion. It is the thermostat water pump problem. Currently right now, as you can see, coolant is building up. Okay, it's 60 degrees and over there it's kind of getting there, and the main reason is because obviously this is the first kind of symptom. It's the fact that it's temperamental. In my situation, it's very temperamental, and it's only giving me a problem when I'm out in the countryside going to work. In my situation, I commute 20-mile round trip, etc. on a road. Know if it's the water pump, thermostat, oil cooler, heater matrix. There's also no heat at all, so I'm not getting any kind of temperature whatsoever. So I can actually put this at high, it won't do anything whatsoever. And just to show you guys what I'm on about, so if I turn the engine off now, okay, it's in park, turn it off, okay, the fan has kicked. But yeah, nevertheless, let's start it up again. And as you can see, started 0 when it comes to coolant. I've got absolutely no coolant, no oil temperature. Technically I'm supposed to have something, but as you can see, I've not stopped recording whatsoever. I don't get any kind of heat in the climate control settings, so obviously it's fully cold and the car is warming up. And if I'm driving, well, the problem is that if I don't get a coolant, an oil temperature reading, what happens is that the fan in my car turns on, as in the radiator fan. What the hell's going on? I'll let you guys hear it. So basically what's happened is I went to that garage, which I shouldn't really have. That's my first regret, just to point out for you guys. But what he suggests is that it's not the water pump, it's not the thermostat, because the coolant has always been stable. So you didn't even check it out, you didn't even take the undercover out, everything was left in place. He directly went to saying that according to his OBD scanner, it actually stipulated to say that, oh, it's one of the sensors. To be fair, according to the OBD scanner that I had, it came up with a list of issues. One of them is an open circuit situation problem. The other one is a water flow, coolant flow problem, and then another problem, I'm not too sure which one it is. But I'll list it off according to the OBD. I'll put it in on the side for you guys to actually see the diagnostic report that I had from OBD 11. So what he said to me was, it is the sensor that's the radiator sensor that's right over there. The camera can't really pick it up, but it is at the bottom over there. Easy fix, according to him. So he didn't really charge me a lot, but the actual sensor itself was an original sensor, so that actually came from TPS, I think, and that cost me £53. That with labour, we're talking around about 80, 90 quid. Guess what? Didn't resolve the problem whatsoever. So the problem had stayed the same, no issues in terms of the problem had stayed the same, and it didn't really rectify anything. The only thing that it did rectify is it was a little bit less temperamental, but problem was still exactly the same. I was getting really frustrated, so I went back to him, since he's, been acquainted to the car, and he said, oh, if it's not that sensor, then it's the other sensor. The problem that really annoyed me with him, and it's not the garage that I usually go to, but because it was Christmas period, all of my usual places that I normally go was fully booked up until end of January. That's the reason why I went to him. He was the only one that was free. So he said to me, oh, it's the other sensor that's bolted to the engine block in this direction over here. So he said, oh, that's going to get sorted. Hopefully that should be the problem. But the problem is, he kept saying to me, oh, do your research, it should be that, but I'm not too sure, blah, blah, blah. I should have got the hint, and I shouldn't have actually gone there, but I was actually getting to a point where I was really desperate to get someone to fix the problem, because I needed the car to go to work, and it was the busiest period for me to go to work, so I couldn't afford to take some emergency days off or anything like that. So that's the reason why I was getting really frustrated and really wanted to get this fixed. So the sensor wasn't expensive. We're talking 60 quid. So now 60 quid and 50 quid for that one. But the labour itself, he charged me 150 quid simply because it was bolted to the engine and he needs to take some other stuff out. I'll show you the sensor top over here, what that looks like. It's got the one with a bolt that you fasten to the engine block itself. Guess what? Got it fixed, as in got it replaced. The problem was still persistent. At that stage, I'll show you the message. I said to him, look, the problem is still there. What the hell is going on? And the only response that I had from him, oh, shame. Some condescending piece of... So I stopped going to him. I went to a different garage. Thankfully, my father's actually recommended me to a different garage, and I actually went there. So, and this is where I'm taking you to this video. So at this point, I was getting really desperate. It's December now, it's cold, it's miserable, and the garages are slowly winding down for the Christmas season, and I was getting really desperate because I really need the car. So at this garage, the fella seemed to know his stuff and accepted the job. Whilst he was looking around the car and obviously just trying to figure out what it could be, I decided to have a quick little nose around and had a look at the back of the unit. And it looked kind of cool, when you look at it. He managed to get it sorted, he got the pump out, and everything was all good right up until this moment. So, sit rep on my way home. It's not looking too good. I'm kind of not really in a good mood, and the main reason is because the other problem that I've got currently right now is that the turbo is not working how it should, and it's given me an EPC light. I did have a quick scan using OBD, the scanner, and it is giving me a P0229 or P0299. I'll put it up on the screen for you guys to actually have a look anyways, and then that's been diagnosed as a boost related problem. It might not be a turbo related problem, but it definitely is a boost related problem. It had an issue where it wasn't fully limp mode, because limp mode you can't really exceed a certain miles per hour. In this case, the car could build up speed, but it felt like it lost 200 brake horsepower. It was on like 50 brake horsepower, and you really had to be gentle, because as soon as you put your foot down and it clearly had an issue, it will put you into the limp mode. Combined with already existing problem that the car already had, it was a recipe for disaster. So I went back to him. I said, what is going on with the car? At this point, I was really getting frustrated. So the problem is that it had a boost hose that was actually taken apart, and I don't know if it was because of the pressure or it just wasn't correctly installed. Most likely as it wasn't correctly installed. So he got it sorted. That wasn't an issue. There was also an issue with the actual fuel line that wasn't installed properly. There was also an issue with some sort of sensor that was a problem. But all in all, a week's worth of headache and frustration, he got it resolved. So the car now is actually fully working. Everything is 100%, but there were some takeaways, which was take your time rectifying the problem. It could have been quite easily that it wasn't actually the water pump and it was a sensor. So that's the reason why I went to, the smaller bits, get that rectified, and maybe it could be that. Because at the end of the day, if that sensor most likely would go sooner or later anyway, so it's best that you get it replaced.